High top flip-flops.
Grapaholics mixtapes.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 83 of High Top Flip Flops. As always, I'm Krish. I'm here with Nivek, and we've got two very special guests today. Today we have Rohan and AP, who make up the phenomenal hip-hop duo Keralanka. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Wow, what a marvelous intro. Thank you, man.
Thank you for having us on.
It's an honor.
Of course. We're, as we mentioned off the record, we've been super excited to have two of you on, join us, and talk about your music, talk about your creative process, but also kind of get to know the two of you a little bit better. Right off the bat, you know, everyone who hasn't heard of Keralanka, go to Spotify right now, search up Keralanka, go listen to Mahal, little EP that they casually put together in 24 hours, which we'll make sure to talk about.
Yeah, you were there
Very
for that.
casually.
I was for a brief moment on the Twitch,
sir.
you know, I had to come through. But let's go to the beginning a little bit. You two have talked you've talked in the past about how the two of you've met through a mutual friend. You kind of knew one another, had an inclination towards music. You geeked out a bit about mixing.
Yes, sir.
You stayed up all night working on a synth sound, and you know that's kind of the humble beginnings, right?
You know all of it. It's crazy.
That's
you know
dope.
the whole chapter. That's amazing.
I know your sin number two.
A plus.
Like-
You know. Oh shit. Okay.
Just
That was
leave
you
it
want
out,
to
never say it.
Yeah.
edit this in post. No, I'm kidding.
But I do want to know, because I think this is something that Nivek and I, you know, we think about, and maybe it looks a little bit different because Nivek and I are related and we've known each other for a very long time. But what kind of has been the key to nourishing your friendship as much as you nourish one another creatively? Because as we know, not everyone who kind of creates together are friends. And you know, some people just have professional relationships, and that's okay too. But it's also really special when you're sincerely close to one another, and you know, you could kind of confidently say like, oh, if we didn't make music, or we'd probably still be friends, you know?
Yeah,
Definitely.
And
You might be.
maybe not.
Not a two-way street.
For sure.
yeah, I may have inferred or assumed, but I am curious to know, yeah, what is the key to what has been important for you guys to make sure that, you know, you're growing in your friendship as much as you are kind of growing creatively as well?
It's true, man. That's a great question.
That's a great question.
Damn. Yeah, I think it's sort of our ability to create with each other is very much tied to, I think, our friendship, right?
Definitely.
And so I think it's having that foundation from the get-go, knowing that there was a time in life where we didn't make music together and we were still really good friends. I think that helps for sure.
Right.
But I think it's also like we make sure that we sort of have experiences tied to, like, you know, our creative careers, but we also know when it's time to step back and just be friends and
Just
like
chill out. Just, you know, like
hang with friends.
hang out.
I remember there was one time that I remember we just said fuck it, and we were like, you know, we're not feeling the studio right now. Let's just go swimming at my condo building's like indoor swimming pool. And I remember we were in the jacuzzi for a little bit, and it was dope because we were just sort of reflecting on like some of our visions, and we were like, we were still talking about Keralanka stuff, but we were talking about how much we'd achieved together as friends. And I remember AP told me something. He was like, "Yo, this is dope, bro. I feel like it's been a while since I got to sit down with you and dream." You know, and I thought that was like really tight because it sort of made us reflect, like, oh, these moments are just as special as the moments we spend in the studio or, like, you know, planning our shit out, like whatever, just to sort of refuel each other of like our shared experiences.
Yeah. Just to expand on that point, like it really just comes down to like that sense of comfort, right? There's like a sense of comfort and openness, like when we're both in the room, like we know we can talk about whatever we need to talk about. We respect each other's time. We respect each other's space.
Yep.
And we respect what each other has to say, right? And like that's the core of our friendship. And also we just like to just fuck around and make corny jokes. And that is not a Keralanka thing. Like that's become a Keralanka thing. But like that started off as just like we were just two friends like hanging out in uni, and we're just making like funny puns with our friends, and
we're just taking the shit that we do anyway and
Right.
like putting it out into the world. It's basically the way we look at it, you know.
But famously, a lot of great creators have these little squabbles, right? From time to time. Myself and Krish famously had a major squabble which nearly ended the podcast and interrupted the entire universe of podcasting.
Yes.
Now,
I felt that rift. Like,
I know, I can tell.
the spirit
And
bond.
also, I'll save this other point because Chris, you did something that's hilarious, but whatever. Sorry,
No,
I'll get
you
back
go.
to
Put him on blast right
Put me
now.
on
Let's
blast.
go.
Put me
No,
on
no,
blast. It's okay.
it's about-
97
okay,
JT versus Nas. Let's go right now.
No, I'm gonna get back to this. It's just on this Google Doc. One of the questions that Chris wrote is, did did you ever DJ at Luxie's?
Yo, I was getting to that.
Yo, I
Damn,
hate this
you
guy
burst my man's bubble like that?
because I can't. I'm just laughing at it every like 5 seconds because I hate that question because I should have thought of that.
Wait, are you is this performance art right now? Like you told me you guys had a squabble and you're bringing the squabble into the podcast. Like it's a real time like expression of that.
Now the
wanna
thing
speak
is,
to that?
I'm pretty real where I'll admit if there's a squabble or not,
Mm-hmm.
right? Chris is fake, so sometimes he'll hold in a squabble. I tell it real.
Honestly, bro, I completely relate. Like being the superior side to like a 2-person duo. It's hard, man. You're carrying a lot of weight on your shoulders, being the more honest, ethical, overall better human being. It's a lot. I feel you, bro.
Which duo are you talking about?
Yeah.
The one like the like off this is like the side duo, right?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
We're gonna take a 10-minute break to talk to Sayu. We need
To get our shit together.
Get our shit together.
No, but yeah, as people that work quite closely, I imagine, because producer rapper relationship, I imagine there would be that, but your relationship seems so positive, like too positive almost.
Yeah. To be honest, all the squabbles are scripted.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe the scriptedness it just helps get anything out. Because I think here's the thing, and I'm gonna.
That's kind of true because I don't know if y'all watch wrestling. If either of you are wrestling nerds, but if you're a hardcore wrestling nerd, people say wrestling's fake and shit, but like some of those wrestlers actually hate each other in there.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity for them to,
What are you trying to say, man?
No, I'm not. I'm just talking about wrestling. I love wrestling.
This is our first squabble. You guys got it live.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Shit.
Squabble
That's
baiters right here. That's amazing. But
Big squabble.
I think shout out to my therapist. He brought this up with me today. He said, it's actually a normal thing to feel irritated or like a little bit annoyed by people sometimes. It's because it means you're giving yourself the space to feel out what you're feeling. And as a result of doing so, you put less weight to it, It's just like,
100%.
What just happened was annoying,
What's interesting is like and to like actually answer your question,
Yeah.
if you haven't yet, but like I feel like it's weird. We haven't had any necessarily like big fights or anything that I can think through, but like it's like a combination of like if we have structured ways in which we can like vent our frustrations or like if we feel like we need to do something better or like the other person needs to do something better, like we have like whatever, like we have like a 101 for that,
Yeah.
like all right, this is just for feedback. So I don't feel like we've had disagreements and stuff, but like I feel like we trust each other enough to also like just step back and be like, all right, if this person is like moving it in a direction where I don't see it going and like there's a fundamental disagreement there, let me just trust the other person to like, if they feel that strongly about their vision, let me at least trust them to like try and execute on it,
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think that was a great answer. I think that's again, it comes down to just like that. We have that openness where it's like if something like serious were to happen, like we'll talk it out, It's like there's no hiding anything here, It's like, if you have a problem, tell me. If I have a problem, I'll tell you, and
it's all on the table.
We'll just
bro.
figure it out.
It's all on the table.
Yeah, and it's important. It's important to remember, particularly creatively, that like when you critique the art or when you critique the work, you're critiquing the work. You're not critiquing the person. You're talking.
I think that's a great point because I think one thing that's probably also helped our relationship is just being creatives together, and like you kind of take that mindset into like your relationships with people as well, right? It's like I'm not critiquing you as a person, right? And this is not just for Rohan, but this is for anyone who I'm talking to who I like, oh, like this is might be irking me. Like I'm not critiquing you as a person. I'm just critiquing this one action.
Behavior.
For sure.
And it's like I'm not. That's not to say you're a bad person. I'm just saying, yo, like this one thing annoyed me, and like whatever.
Yeah.
Like we'll talk about it. But
Yeah. No, I think that's a very healthy way to go about it. And
yeah, but it's definitely something actually that the creative process I feel like definitely helped.
To be honest, though, I
reinforce
don't
that.
have that type of relationship with everyone I've collabed with creatively. I think a lot of it is AP is just very, and this actually fucking pisses me off, to be honest. It's very hard to stay mad at him for more than 5 minutes, and I fucking hate that because like I just want to be cheesed at you for like dog like. But then this
I love it.
If you get angry at him, this guy will just smile and like be like, yeah, bro, I agree, I'll work on that. It's like, bro, what the fuck? Like, can you add some toxicity into this fucking relationship? Like, where's the spice? You know? That's what it is.
That's
I
big.
guess. Grateful and shit. Whatever.
one day that water bottle's gonna end up at the side of your head. Don't worry, Ron. It'll find its way there.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. I thank you. Thanks for reflecting on this with us. Because like I said, I think Navik and I, we it's something we think about too, right? And we want to respect one another as people, but also kind of make sure that we feel like we're growing, while we do this podcast, right?
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you want to keep this in, but I even though it's only like whatever 10 minutes in, I really appreciate the casual nature of this whole dynamic. This is pretty dope.
Sick. That's great. Great.
Cool.
Which I'm liking.
Yeah.
It's only gonna go downhill from here. So.
Can't wait.
So we're gonna transition a little bit. We started with something reflective. We're gonna keep it reflective, but change the tone here a little bit. I got individual questions for the two of you. We'll start with AP. We know you were a dancehall DJ and producer. Not only once upon a time, I imagine it's still something that you have an affinity and a connection to.
Yeah.
But we also know how when Navik and I think about Scarborough, and we think about dancehall, and we think about parties where dancehall gets played, I can't help but wonder what's the wildest thing someone has said to you while DJing a dancehall set.
Oh man, the wildest thing someone has said to me. That's a really good question.
Nothing but bangers for the question.
Yeah, damn. Oh, that's gonna take me a while to think of. Let me see.
I guess maybe a follow-up question was there a lot of wild shit, or for the most part was it fairly tame?
To be honest, the things people would say to me, I think fairly tame. Fairly
Okay.
tame. I haven't had too many wild things said to me. And I'm saying that like I can't remember one.
Can I alley-oop you something? Because it's not specific to dancehall.
All
But
right.
can you please talk about was this your first gig? The Halloween gig? You and Roshan? DJ Wenda?
Oh,
Do you remember?
how that
Yeah,
event went
yeah,
down.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's not a dance hall story, but like,
Yeah,
you
I
got-
mean,
this is
again-
great. This is the first time I'm seeing AP DJ live, by the way.
Okay.
Like a Halloween party in Waterloo, and like,
Yeah.
What went down?
I can tell you guys a story. So like again, like not too many wild things have been said to me, but like I've definitely seen wild things go down during the party. Oh man, this was like my first club gig in Waterloo. It was me and my boy Roshan.
there's
DJ,
like 20 of
DJ
us
Wenda.
there deep, like the whole crew is there.
Yeah.
It's
Nice.
Waterloo University.
Was it at that nasty club? What is it called? What's that nasty
It wasn't
spot?
Phil's.
It wasn't Phil's.
Ah,
It was this
Brixton.
other club. It was I think at that time it was called Saison.
Oh, was it called Saison?
Yeah, this
Alright.
club has literally like changed ownership like who knows how many times.
And they
now.
turned into a racist ass club called Brixton that literally moderated the amount of black people that could get into the club. So fuck
wow.
them.
damn.
Amazing.
Not aware of that.
Yes.
Damn.
Fuck
Bastards.
Anyway, go on.
Anyway, so yeah, what ends up happening is like we're playing a lot of like old school hip hop and like and just some dance hall in there, and we're just like everyone's getting
It's a great
turned up.
vibe.
Like it's great vibe.
I'm happy for him because I'm like, damn, this is like the first set
This
I'm seeing him
this is
do.
my first time like DJing at a
club.
club. So like I'm hyped.
Yeah.
And then like literally like so first of all the event starts and like no one's there at the beginning. It's like a good like 2 hours for people to like find it. And now it's packed. Everyone's having a good time. It's a good night. And then next thing I know, like someone's running through the crowd then like someone's like, "Yo, this guy got bottled," and then the crowd's like splitting, and I'm like, "Yo, what's going on right now?"
Someone else got
the party
bottled.
just got started, guys. Like, come on, like this is my first club event. Like, let me enjoy it.
You've had 2 hours of warming up like an empty room, and you're like finally getting into the
Exactly.
heat. Yeah.
Fucking exit. I just
And
see this
then-
dude with like blood dripping, like looking like Triple H in 2001 and shit.
And there's like
You
cop
know?
cars in the parking lot. I'm like, yo, what's
While
going
the
on
cop
right
car's
now?
there, some guy's getting his shit kicked in by 10 dudes. And you know,
Yeah.
the usual, like, you're a fucking pussy and blah, blah, like, you know, I'm like,
Yeah.
bruh, this is.
Oh my gosh.
That's probably the wildest thing that I've seen happen when I'm DJing an event. I
Damn.
don't think I've seen
No.
other than that.
I hate to say this, but how many times did you play Wine and Ginger?
Wine and ginger. Ah, man. Honestly, I don't think I've played that track at a party.
Let's just say
Whoa.
Nevada's bottled a couple people to that song before, you know.
Oh, I would have.
So I'm
Were
glad I
you
didn't
that
play it.
guy? That
No.
night in Waterloo on the night
N-
that.
No, actually, if you guys want to hear some good Waterloos
Okay.
vibes, is I visited Waterloo a few years ago. A friend of mine was in optometry school up there. So I was Stanji. He's an optometrist, and we went out to Phil's and then another one,
Okay.
and I got wasted on my mind, and I pushed a lot of Caucasian men,
Ah,
only Caucasian men.
gotcha.
Got it.
Right. And I kind of blame media for this, for putting these thoughts into my head where, get away from the Caucasian man and push him down
Right.
and then continue to do it.
All that propaganda, brother. All that propaganda they're bringing to our nation. Right.
See? Exactly. And
We let them in, and look at what they're doing to us and our people. Right.
it's very real, but this is also a moment to shout out our friends. We gotta shout out our friends because my friends at the time, well, they're still my friends. The three guys that I went with, that they held off the white people.
Mm.
They were trying to fight back, and they were like, "Yo, he's out of here, man. He's not here."
There you go. You need
And,
those
guys,
friends that really, that
Shout outs to them.
cushion you. Like, it's like, chill, bro. That's it.
Yeah, that's right. He's my cousin. He's my cousin. He just came. He just landed.
So you were there, Krish?
I was,
Were you there?
I wish I was. I really wish I was. I don't know what I would have done.
You think you would have sided with him or like try and stop him?
I think
A little bit of both, maybe.
I think instinctually, I mean, I think I would have wanted to protect Nivek for sure, but I think instinctually I would have code switch and be like, guys, hold your keisters there.
From Krish to Chris.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. I absolutely would have hit
Code
that.
switching.
Oh, hey, you guys from Keswick? Oh yeah. You just go north.
I know a good old brewery up there, eh?
Oh yeah, just go north on Young Street there. Oh yeah, gotta love it. Oh yeah, Lake Simcoe's where me and the boys always go for a little lake trip.
Speaking of which, I got my Ford pickup outside. You boys want to take a quick rip around the corner?
All right, guys, I'm a little racist, so this is getting me angry right now.
I know, but thank you, AP. We've far too many times have had guests on the show tell us about wild nights DJing, so we appreciate you indulging us there. And for you, Ron, we know in a past life you were working in tech, and you lived in and were working in New York, which is a wild and I think to a certain degree a rare experience, and just thinking about all of the kind of, like, when I say wild, I just mean like ridiculous kind of intricacies of people working in tech, but also adding the fact that you're in New York, which I can imagine is a whole different ballgame.
Adds another layer to it.
I'm curious to know what's the wildest thing someone said to you while working in tech and living in New York.
Working in tech and living in New York is in like one instance, like within that time.
Yeah, within that time, yeah.
The wildest thing someone said to me, damn, dude.
Or maybe wild is a general term. What's something that like stuck with you, whether for better or for worse? Yeah.
Yeah, let me think on that within that specific time frame. Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty wild experience about like my living experience there, which I guess doesn't have much to do with tech, but it definitely opened my worldview up a little bit, like for sure. I remember I was for the first bit of my tenure there, I was actually like living with my cousin in New Jersey and commuting into New York, which like New
Wow.
Jersey is right beside New York. It's like commuting from like a GTA city to Toronto, kind
For
of
sure.
similar kind of vibe. And at one point I was like, I want to like for the remaining time I'm in here, like I want to like move somewhere and like into the city. And so I went to Brooklyn and I ended up renting out or subletting out. It's crazy. This rapper who was like who went viral at one point because he basically was homeless and he would go into different Apple stores and he would record his album like
Oh
in that Apple
wow.
store and he recorded his whole album that way and like put it out and everything.
Wow.
And some real New York shit like
Damn.
but
That's insane.
super cool. But I ended up like I read about this guy like a year before I'd even like moved to New York, and like it was crazy. He ended up being the guy who was like subletting his apartment out because he was going like for like on tour for a year. And
Right.
I'll like keep names at the story, but like basically, long story short, I moved into this place, and at this point, like all my living experiences are like within Waterloo, like pretty tame, like university student kind of environment, and I ended up like living with a sex worker, which was really interesting,
Wow.
like a dominatrix, which
Wow.
really like at that time it was like, and the way I found out about it and everything, I was like, it was just to me at that point in time who I was just like, holy shit, this is crazy.
Very
But it
neat,
definitely
yeah.
helped like open my worldview up. But
Yeah.
turns out that he was getting away on apparently her side of the story. I don't know if it's true necessarily, but like he was getting away on like 200 to 300 a month of rent. But then he
Wow.
sublet it out to me for like 700 or 800
Wow.
bucks. And she was the landlord and she wasn't seeing any of that money.
Uh-oh.
She was saying shit like, you're gonna move in, like we're just gonna like keep you here and kick him out and like change the keys and shit. And I was like, well, I'm not trying to get in the middle of this. And she was like, just saying shit like, my sugar daddy used to pay for the rent, but now that I'm not seeing him anymore, let's see him try and suck a 60-year-old's dick for rent and like all this shit.
That's
And I was
real.
like,
Damn.
God damn, I had to move out real quick to like make sure I wasn't getting in the middle of that.
Fair
But
enough, man.
it was
Wow.
definitely like a very eye-opening experience. Not really
Yeah.
anything to do with tech, obviously, but
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah.
Yes.
You're just like, oh yeah, this is just a regular day at work.
Ah,
Regular day at the office.
That's good. Okay.
I don't know. See, I could go
Hey, you
deeper.
don't-
But I'm not trying to mention no names or like get into. I'm trying to be like sensitive around like how I describe the
For
story,
sure.
but
What year was this?
this is 2016. There's other honestly like just generally speaking like living in New York in 2016 was insane because it was like if y'all remember that was also the U.S. election year.
Yeah.
So seeing this transition culturally in America and New York is that's another night I'll never forget is the night. Yeah, living in New York in 2016 in general it was like crazy time, bro, because like I remember like US election night 2016 being like one of the craziest, most memorable nights of my life because New York is this bubble and, a very liberal bubble in a lot of ways. And so I think they were like very much shielded from how seriously the anxieties of middle America were being taken and like how much of a threat Trump was to actually winning, right?
Yeah.
Against Hillary Clinton. And so it's just like we were going to go to like Hillary's whole like her fucking celebration thing. They're gonna have like a glass ceiling and like break it down or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Damn.
we didn't get in because it was like too full. And I'm glad we didn't get in because then we just went to a bar and just seeing people's faces from the beginning of the night to like the end of the night just like melt.
Yeah.
Insanely eye-opening and like you can take it at surface level as like, oh, that sucked, but it also really, I don't know, it teaches you about like how like the divisive nature of like a system or country or whatever can really manifest itself in a certain area where I go to the office and everyone's like, oh my God, I can't, everyone is in disbelief, right?
Yeah.
But seeing how it's sort of like permeated in the air, like the next day when I was like going on the subway and like people are literally crying in the subway because these are very real anxieties that people had, right? You have on one side of the nation just like being super like, yes, finally our voices are being heard. Simultaneously, you have like people of color and like other folks who are like have very real anxieties about the next 4 years, and rightfully so based on how shit played out. Anyway, sorry, it's getting political, but it was more so like from a standpoint of like experiencing that in the moment felt like a timestamp in history, that I was there for, which is like kind of crazy, especially in New York where both of them are from.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I still think about that day sometimes, some days, like, because it is a while, even for myself. I was in Toronto at
Yeah.
school, and
Yeah.
it was still like
Yeah.
everybody was
But you kind of remember where you
impressed.
were almost, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it almost led me to think about, remember like the summer of 2016 and peop how people like really hold that up to high regards.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
everybody keeps talking about that.
All summer 16.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like was was that the same thing in NY?
Um, that's a good. I don't know if it was particularly the summer that was being held up, but I don't know. I just remember it being a really good summer for me because even though I was going through a lot of life changes, like meeting fucking art, like I worked at SoundCloud, so like meeting artists and
Oh,
like some of the craziest experiences there. Like
Mm.
I remember seeing Nas with Masego, which was like insane because he was like Masego was like low key at this time, and he'd just come by the office and like I'd made a friend in artist relations, and I was like, okay, I'll sneak in and listen to some of his music and meet him and stuff, and they were like, "Yo, we have these tickets for you and my friend Lily, who was working there too, and she's like to the fucking Brooklyn Hip Hop Festival tomorrow. Do you want to come?" Because
Crazy.
I'd mentioned how like seeing Nas was like one of my childhood dreams and shit. And then like they were like they just stayed for his set and like they were watching it with me. It's kind of crazy. So like just sort of all those experiences, I would say, made it a really good summer for me for sure. But I don't necessarily remember, you know, like the narrative of like that specific summer because of
yeah.
that year. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Mm.
that is
You
really
know,
wild.
that does with you bringing up SoundCloud. I mean, you guys must be, I don't know if you've heard about the royalty, the artist royalties, the audio,
Yeah,
like,
fan powered royalties. I
yeah,
don't.
I
exactly.
haven't, I haven't
So,
heard of this.
Um,
yeah, I mean, it seems like something that should have been made in like 2014 or
yeah,
2012 or something.
Can you explain it to AP and I who are clearly in the
It's
dark here?
probably, so to my knowledge, it just seems like fans like myself, you, whenever we listen to a song, an artist, we can, contribute money, and I'm assuming a percentage goes to SoundCloud as well, right?
it's
And
basic. Yeah, it's basically like, and I'm not a complete expert on it, but I understand on a high level the way royalty splits in the music industry are happening right now. It's very like it's weird. Like it's not like evenly split. It's not like if there's this pool of money and you represent 1% of the pool, you get 1% of the revenue. Like a lot of it has to do with like certain labels get more preferential payouts, like the margins, the artist, all that stuff. So you're not necessarily getting your exact split based on how much streaming activity you're generating on Spotify. Now what they're doing with SoundCloud is they're making it so that it is evenly split so that if you listen, right, if you're paying like whatever $8 a month or whatever for Spotify or SoundCloud or
Right.
whatever, and 70% of what you listen to is Keralanka, then 70% of your portion of like the revenue that's supposed to go towards royalties will go towards Keralanka. Like it's like sort of
Got it.
truly reflective versus it's not always been that way.
Right.
mhm.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
it
this
does
is
make sense.
As
Thank
you
you.
explained it, I remembered you told me about this last week.
Okay, yeah,
yeah. No, this is a cool little topic of independence, because you guys are doing the Patreon.
yes.
We've thought about that as well, and that's super cool. Yeah, you get to put out, your own content. People are paying for this, and they get to see whatever, you curate for them,
Yeah.
which is super cool. And it leads me into, of course, major labels and being independent. And your sound to me is like super polished at this point, right? It seems like it's ready to go,
Thank
you
you.
know?
Thank you.
And I'm assuming, you've been approached by, someone at this point. Is that fair to say or
Independent
no?
labels, not
Or just
not
anybody? Yeah.
not majors yet, but independent
Yeah.
labels, yeah.
Okay. And have you guys considered, or you just want to be fully independent there?
It's tricky, man. Like I'm always open to shit, but it's just the economic. First of all, we're really early. Like
Yeah.
let's be real. Like we're very early in our journey, and like we're not even 1% at where we want to be,
And
and we recognize like where we're at in that journey, which is why like conversations like this are cool because I'm gonna love listening back to this a couple
Yeah,
years
yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
as a timestamp. But I think it's like the economics of the music industry, or I try not to make like broad brush general statements, but like for the most part, man, if you're signing a major label deal, more than likely, like, and you have like you're very early and you don't have much leverage, like you're getting screwed. Like you're not there. There is no preferential deal based on what the labels do now versus what they used to do like 10 to 15 years ago.
Right.
So like the normal deal is like Brent Fayez, who's like huge. I mean, before
There's what is-
he's independent, but like
Mm.
while he was blowing up with Crew and all that, having a hit record, all that, the best label deal he could negotiate, his manager could negotiate, I think is was 17% of his royalties with like a whatever $200,000 cash advance, and that's like at the top end of like that's a good deal for someone at your stage. You know what I'm saying? So hearing that about Brent, like I personally no longer really celebrate. I don't know, like major label signings or whatever, because you don't know the intricacies of that deal and like someone holding creative control over your shit. And yo, it's crazy, bro. Imagine any other business where you'd be like, yeah, 17% of your own product, be
Yeah.
cool with it. Oh, here's a little bit of cash to like try and sway you into this. But it's like if you're accepting $200,000 for like 2 or 3 years and you're willing to trade off like 15% of your shit, like, oh, sorry, trade off like 85% of your shit, I feel like you don't believe in your shit enough.
Yeah, it's
I
scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great point.
it's like
That's the thing, right? They're like they're these major labels like approach you and they have the leverage, right? They we don't really have any leverage to negotiate, right? And I think our thing is we want to get to that point independently.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure independently, unless we get like a really good deal that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, but independently, until we can actually negotiate, like until we can sit down at the table with these record executives and be like, listen, like this is what I bring to the table. It's cool that you're bringing this, but let's help each other out. Because right now, like let's be real, record labels are approaching artists to help themselves out and not really help the artists.
Yeah,
Of course.
that's such a good
It's
point.
and the way I think about it, just to add on real quick, also is I think what we're building, like I genuinely believe, even though it's gonna keep growing and it's like at a tiny portion of where it will be, like we're building like a universe. We're not just artists, right? At the end of the day, like we're building a universe of these experiences, like the Twitch streams, like the characters we build into our skits, like all that stuff. So like the way I don't even necessarily think about us as like a artist duo to be signed by a label. Like I think of us personally as like a Disney. Like I think of us as a Marvel. Like that's sort of like where I think about it. And like the music will always be the focus for sure.
Yeah.
But I think like we're always gonna put those experiences and everything around it. And that's like intellectual property that like I personally wouldn't be comfortable like handing over to
Yeah.
label. You know,
Yeah.
like because we're building all that shit around the music now too.
That's right.
Mhm.
And it's also something that you want to expand and you want to grow as you grow, right? And
Exactly.
that can change, and it should be allowed to change, right? You shouldn't kind of
Yeah,
necessarily
that
be
freedom
locked
is,
in.
is absolutely necessary for us. Like I feel like if I'm locked into something, it's no longer my thing anymore. You know.
Well, we're about to drop 5 singles in the next month and a half to 2 months. We would never be able to do that with the label, bro. Like 5 singles in 2 months, like no way. They'd be like, okay, let's pick one of them, like put the right marketing strategy around it, which I get, right? But for us, like it's all about speed right now, and like especially at this point in the journey, it's like that creative freedom and flexibility is so important.
Yeah, that's yeah. I think that what you shared, particularly about like particularly about like our artists potentially not like knowing their worth or not believing in their music, like that's it made me think. I'm like, yeah, I think that's absolutely one aspect of it. And then I couldn't help but think about like, yo, how many people just like don't know otherwise or are in like such desperate situations, right?
Yeah,
Like
and
that's what's scary. That's what's
that's
scary.
the other thing. Like that. Well, the other thing is it is context dependent. Like if you really need to take it, and like you're in a position, I'm kind of speaking from a position of privilege when I even saying like reflecting on my words just
Right.
now.
No.
There's definitely situations where it makes sense and it does play out ultimately for the benefit. So it's not like it's never worth it. It's just I think in our specific like situation, it's just not something that makes sense for us. At this point.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Let's be real. Sorry, real quick. Like certain artists, like they should take the major label deal. Like they got some singles, they'll have bubbling singles and like 6 filler songs, on the album. It's for them.
It works, yeah.
So,
Get your bag.
Cash in.
The cash in and kind of don't cash in on it after like a year. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think the main point is that the labels are still leeches kind of at the end of the day. And unless you're fighting tooth and nail to make sure that contract is like giving you as much creative control as you need, and that label is there to fund you and to back you and to give you a platform, then it's a really tough route. This I couldn't help but think I've been when I've been listening to your music in truly and I hope this is a compliment, but the past two projects especially, Brockhampton is who comes to mind like immediately. I'm thinking of Ramil particularly, and I'm
That's
thinking
for
about
Mel.
the I think and I think about Rohan, the kind of complexity of your flow, and the willingness you kind of have to experiment and manipulate your voice, and the way that you have sound design layered in AP. It's there. It's something that really comes to mind when I listen to music. But I when I think about the deal that they got with RCA, and I think about how a lot of people are like, man, they made sure that they got a really good deal. I was curious to know if the two of you, if you have anything to kind of say, or if that's something that you've even reflected on to be like, oh shit, yeah,
15 million, right?
yeah, they got 15 million.
50?
15,
15.
15.
Oh, 15. Okay.
Which is
50.
pretty fucking high for
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
like
yeah, no.
pretty unprecedented, I would say, in the music
Yeah.
industry.
I mean,
For
mind you, right? What? How many of them are there? 10 of them? 11?
totally, exactly. And I think again they're considering like the fan base they have. They're very
Right.
much like the whole concept of building a universe. Like they've very much done that. Like I've been to a show and
Definitely.
like
Yeah.
people show up in like orange jumpsuits with their
Yes.
faces
Crazy.
painted. It's
Yeah.
like when you have all that, like the labels probably taking that into consideration too. You know,
Yeah.
I would assume.
Definitely.
I
But
don't know.
oh,
I
sorry.
don't fully know about their deal, but I do know
Yeah,
that
same here.
I think they've complained a bit about lack of freedom, like
I
a little
can.
bit. Like they had a whole album leak on YouTube, and I don't know the exact details, but I'm pretty sure they've expressed some frustrations with like
Fair.
they're not able to like move as quickly. Don't quote me on that,
No,
but
no,
like
no.
that's what I've
Fair.
seen on Twitter and shit.
Right. That's yeah, I think in like we said, it's inevitably gonna happen because the label is there to make money off of you, right? And you're right, there's they did the whole technical difficulties thing where
Yeah.
they started putting out their own music very
Yeah.
clearly, kind of in retaliation.
Hmm.
But speaking of them, and speaking of speed, which is something that you mentioned, and thinking about what their first three album run was like, right? Like what, 6 months or something, three
Crazy.
Wild.
incredibly complex albums,
Wild.
where like in many ways it's like on one hand you're like, wow, that creative output was significant and incredible. But on the other hand, I can't help but think like they needed to do that to fucking feed 12 people living in this house. They know how little money they're going to get per
Yeah.
stream, and they need to put out, whatever, 30 something songs in the short amount of time. And like, you almost use that as their marketing tool to get plays and
Yeah, it's
to
literally called saturation, right?
exactly, exactly.
Saturate the market. Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly. And I mean, in a completely different fashion, that's something that the two of you did with Mahal, right? You spent 24 hours live on Twitch, first of all, which is wild because you're on for people watching in on you in your creative process, which has ups and downs.
Sure.
But two, you're fucking you're putting your mind and your body to the test, to put out this music in such a short period of time, because that there's draw, there's significance to putting out music in such a short period of time. I think something that we've certainly noticed with the universe that you've created is that you two are very much in tune with, um, I think the way that we kind of talk about it is the game that needs to be played, particularly when you think about social media, right? And the kind of connection it has. It's something that the two of you have, I don't want to say mastered because no one really masters it. And at the end of the day, like, Mark Zuckerberg is the master. He chooses who gets to see what, right?
Overlord.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Overlord Mark.
Suck my overlord.
Yeah.
Please approve this ad.
Yeah. Um, but I wanted to know, like, does that ever get like exhausting for you? Kind of knowing, as I said, like knowing that at the end of the day, like no matter, regardless of how attentive you are, and how much you work with the algorithm, and work with all the kind of barriers that are put in place, there that like there is still something kind of like there's Overlord Mark is literally controlling this shit kind of beyond it. Does that ever become exhausting? Does that ever
Playing
become,
the game, right?
yeah, does it ever become hopeless?
It's it's like I can start on this, but it's like We always, with the paths we've taken with content and all that, we've always tried to lean into the shit that we actually like enjoy doing,
Hmm.
like, and that we don't see as like a task or chore, right? Like we've been putting out, like, for example, skits like around our music for a while, and that's because that's just our personalities.
Yeah.
It's not who we are. Um, I think for sure, like there is an element to when you're trying to follow a system. For example, at one point we are putting out like 3 to 4 TikTok videos a day, and it's the
Right.
game. It's the game you play.
Yeah.
I think there's a certain point in which like you realize you need to not go too far to let it entrench upon like the true creative shit, like the music and whatnot. If it ever starts to feel then we try to like take a step back and be like, what are we doing wrong here to like make sure we, because at the end of the day you got to have fun with this shit, right? You can't let
Exactly.
that aspect of it take over. And I think we've gone in and out of that kind of like thinking about that shit, but I think we're at a point now where it feels good to put that shit out, and it feels good to like when we have our 24-hour EP, we have like a trailer and storyline with it. Like
Hmm.
that's actually, we look at that as that's art. That's also art. Like it's
Yeah.
not this mechanical thing where it's like it's content. Yeah, no, no. We try to look at it as like we're building out an entire script, a storyline, and this is an accompanying piece of creative
Hmm.
with the other shit that we're putting out. And it's like treat it almost like it can actually be more fulfilling in a lot of ways if you approach it the right way, because it's like you get to fulfill the videographer in you and the artist in you and like the sound engineer
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
like the whole fucking crew, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
Which is there's definitely a dope element. But yeah, for sure, you got to watch out for moments in which you're taking it too far and you're playing the game too much to the point where it like exhausts you. Like I've
Yeah.
definitely had moments where I felt exhausted,
Yes,
for sure.
same here. Like it's definitely gotten exhausting at points. Like we love experimenting with whatever's like whatever comes up, like whatever new thing comes up. It's like, hey, let's hop on it and run an experiment, right?
For sure.
But like yeah, again, it's like when you're playing that game, like it's like just you're constantly trying to find that balance of like what is too much and like what's too little.
Yeah.
And but in order to find that balance, you have to push the extremes, right? You
Yeah.
For
like
sure.
there's no other way to find it. And like we've done that with a lot of things, like TikTok being the most recent example
Hmm.
that pops up in my head. But it's like again that's part of the game, and you have fun with that process too, right? You start to realize it's a pattern you need to do to in order to find out what works and what doesn't work, and that becomes part of the fun too at times.
As long as it's always, I tell, because I do like social media consulting for other artists as well on the
Hmm.
side, and I always tell them, as long as it's not something where you felt like you made this piece of content just to satisfy a trend or just to satisfy the need for X amount of Instagram posts per week or whatever, at that point, fuck it, like just don't post, like
Yeah.
real shit. Like that's a better option, than like
Yeah.
putting on that mask. It's your art. Like you got to make sure it's an extension of yourself, right?
That's right.
Not some other shit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great point because it gets murky, man. It gets really really murky, and I think that's also kind of like what leads to a lot of people kind of like burning out too, right? Burning
Definitely,
out creative.
definitely.
Big facts.
Um,
I've experienced that for sure.
Yeah, I think we've
yeah.
both gone through like
It's
our,
good
our
to it's
walls.
good to go through the fire though and get
Yeah.
burned. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
not
facts.
saying like burn out, but it's like it's good to. I've personally felt like it's like it pushes my limits and it like I learn more about myself as a creative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you push what you're comfortable with, right? It's like you as you like obviously like I'm not saying hey everyone listening to this go burn yourself out, right? As it happens, you get more in tune with yourself in terms of like what are the signs of burnout, and you know when to pull back. So you just push the limit, but then you start to learn, okay, you know what? I'm about to burn out, but I'm not there yet, but I'm pulling back because I'm not trying to be there. I'm
Yeah.
just trying to push the limit consistently.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. I think it's all about addressing the patterns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Starting to notice how your body reacts and what you kind of go through.
I slept I slept
Definitely.
I slept an hour before our last show.
Oh yeah.
I was up
Crazy.
for almost 48 hours straight,
Jesus.
and I wouldn't change it. You know why? Yes, I learned from it, and I won't do that again. But like, that's a vital experience. Like I don't.
Yeah. Oh my
Now I
gosh.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, truly. Wow. Um speaking of burnout and kind of speaking of, I think especially what the past like 5 6 months have looked like for the two of you with Mahal, with the Twitch streams, with the beat battles, with even interviews that you've recorded yourselves. um I it's like, first of all, we're about 4 or 5 days out from 1 year of Canada going into lockdown from the pandemic, which is wild to think about.
Crazy.
But two, like we inevitably, like I think in the past year, have gone through it. We've experienced grief. We've experienced the kind of uncertainty. You know, we've experienced the doubt, which comes about when
The
your
full
whole
spectrum.
yeah exactly when your whole world is kind of put on pause for a little bit. But in many ways, the two of you have kind of have turned it up a notch, right? You still put out so much, and I guess to kind of add to what you mentioned about burnout, was trying to stay, or has been staying creative and excited, has it been hard, amidst everything, amidst loss, amidst confusion, amidst uncertainty, or has it, in many ways, has this past year made been rejuvenating for the two of you creatively?
I can start with this one.
Yeah.
It's for myself personally, it's been a bit of both. It's like when I look back at it now, like there have been times where this whole lockdown situation, everything has kind of helped the process. I mean, both 24-hour EPs would not exist without that. Like that was out of necessity, like to come up with a new idea. Like that idea had to come because something limited us, right? And we had to find a way around it. So in that way, like, hey, like there was a positive to it, but there was also the other side of it, of like just trying to find, like, for me personally, like I'm someone who thrives on like being outdoors a lot, and with like I love like the energy of people, and like um I don't know, that I feel like for myself personally that stuff has really gotten to me over like
Yeah.
the last year, like just in terms of like my physical environment kind of like influences my mental environment in terms of
Totally.
like just being closed into like a house for a long period of time. Like it kind of like closed off my vision a bit, and until like I would say like 2 3 months ago, when I had the
Right.
realization, I'm like, hey man, you got to get out more. You got to start dreaming again. You got to like
Right.
that's important. That's the drive behind it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. That's the same, everything he said, but also for me, I think it was interesting at the beginning of the pandemic. I think it was such a sort of flinch reaction from our standpoint, not in a bad way, but like almost out of survival, where we were
Right.
like, okay, we can't, because our plan was like, we did a 250 cap show in Toronto, like
Yeah.
December 2019. Our plan was like, by that August of 2020, like do a 500 cap show and then do 1,000 cap show, and just sort of keep like expanding it, right?
Pushing it. Yeah.
And that's, I got Scotiabank Arena on my vision board over here.
Right there.
And
Brilliant.
so it's like something get like a wrench gets thrown in there, and like your immediate reaction is like, okay, I could either like be like everything's ruined, or I can try and find a different way to channel that growth and what I want, right? And that's where the 24-hour EP came out of. And that's from that standpoint, it's great, right? That those limitations produced like a really creative idea that has expanded our fan base and like helped us grow, right, in ways that we wouldn't have without it. But at the same time, I feel like I didn't really personally take time to like wallow on how much this sucks, and actually like spend time to myself where it's like this is shitty, this sucks. Because sometimes you just have to like feel that sadness. And so like for me, I started going to therapy last summer, and that's been like such a great proponent for at least like not only having like a medium to which I can express all those things, but also discover a lot about my own traumas and childhood traumas and stuff like that. And it's
Definitely.
from that standpoint, like the silver linings of this pandemic for us are pretty damn good, like in a lot of ways, even with everything that sucks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be very careful what's going to happen after the pandemic, because it's
true.
about to get nasty.
About to get nasty.
About to get wild.
What's about to get wild? Tell me.
When Nivek holds
Tell
the
you.
mic, it gets serious.
Let me tell you. All right. Do you want to know?
You're gonna go to a Waterloo club. You're gonna get wasted.
None of the above. What's going to happen is, let's just say 2021 August, don't even see me outside, because that's going to be a problem. It is going to be a big problem. And I'm not talking violence. I'm talking silence. I don't know what I'm saying. You know, sometimes I just go.
I was waiting for it.
I was waiting for
I
it.
was waiting for it, man.
I'm here with you, man.
We're
If you
down
want
for
to,
the improv, man.
we're
Let's
down.
go.
Keep going until you get to the punchline. We're here for you, bro.
You know some improv? Oh,
These
Let's
guys,
go.
these
We love
guys know
improv, bro.
improv. Come on, come on.
I love improv. I'm not gonna say I'm good at it, but like I love doing it.
We try our best.
yeah, you know, that's what I spent doing all of core, you know. I watched some of the improv greats, okay? Chris Farley,
Okay.
Lily Sting. Okay. No, stop, stop. Lily Singh, Mike Myers. Sorry,
Yeah,
you guys
piece of shit.
there? I don't know if you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I'm
still
here, I'm
there.
here.
They're
Oh,
keeping
okay.
it together
I'm
on your behalf.
intently listening.
Sorry, sorry. So the goat, Lily Singh.
Shut up. Oh
Um,
my god.
No one
you
said
know,
this to Lily Singh.
sorry.
Yeah.
No
Sorry.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Do you have like a personal relationship with Lily Singh?
Is she from Brampton? No, she's from Scarborough, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Bro.
So yeah, I don't know. From Brampton.
Sorry.
Brown. She's from the GTA. She
There's
got a to her.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm not yet.
we we're haters for no reason, really, at the end of the day. But you know what? Please continue to me.
No, no. You know, I like to apologize because this year I promised myself I'm not gonna hate on anyone brown. Okay.
Honestly, I will, bro. I'm a big believer in getting sort of, a channel for you to really express how your frustrations, how you're feeling. So if you ever need to use us, like hate on us, like let's go.
No.
Make sure you record it so we can use it as content.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Oh,
You gotta play the game, right?
Yeah.
actually, you
straight
know
up.
what? You know what? If you want, I'm down for that. I'm down to be a big
Talk
hater.
right now, like during our own interview.
Let's do it. Let's do it right now.
Hey, you guys suck. You suck, and you're not good at music. All right. You know what you should do instead?
What?
What?
Don't do it.
Oh my God.
How about that, huh?
Holy shit.
You're bad at music. Leave it to Tyrese.
Okay. I'm sorry, Tyrese.
All right, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll be quitting the game immediately.
And we're back.
We're back. There we go.
I
Improv.
was just about to walk. Okay.
There we go. And that's improv for you there, folks.
Oh,
Oh hell yeah,
Hey.
bud! Heck yeah, bud!
Oh,
Heck
fuck.
yeah.
Go for a rip after this, yeah.
But no, I can't deny how exciting, or obviously there's tons of anticipation for when it's kind of safe to share space again with people publicly. But yeah, I very much kind of look forward to when you two are able to have a live show again and kind of share that energy. Because I mean, I unfortunately wasn't present for the first show you did, but I know Gal was there, and even just seeing the videos that he had shared and he had posted, it was incredible to kind of see everyone, the energy that was there. And it's very clear that you have a very dedicated fan base, and I think it's something that to a lesser degree Nivek and I talk about and think about often is like, we of course you want to have hundreds of thousands of people in your kind of community and listening to your work, but it doesn't take away from like the people who are committed, and like
Oh man,
sincerely
you gotta
care
lean
about
in.
your art,
You gotta lean into those
it's
people. I mean, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
they're here before anything pops off, and they're giving you their energy when they have all the reasons in the world not to. Like
Yeah.
to some extent, that matters a lot more than people who hop on after. I would say.
Yeah,
exactly.
They're the ones who push you up, right? They're the ride or dies. They really care about us, right?
That's right.
And that's sick. Like that's amazing that we've been able to establish this connection with someone who was prior to Keralanka completely random in some corner of the world that I've never been to, and like now they're listening to us and they feel connected to us, and I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's I mean, even from the bit of time that I spent on the Twitch stream, it was super funny, but also like really special hearing you guys just being like, yo, shout out to Russia.
That's crazy.
When you're casually just asking like, oh, tell us where you're from, and someone's like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
crazy.
from Kerala, I'm from
Yeah.
Goa, I'm from someone straight up was like, I'm from Russia, tuning in.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, it's a really
Something
really
special, man. Shout out to that.
yeah, shout out to Russia. Is
Shout out to
Bodybuilding.
Russian. Shout out to Russian bots real quick.
yeah,
Big one.
the
They
Russian
really hold it
bots.
down.
Glad I got you.
Russian bots were turned up last summer.
They were real they've been turned up for the past 4 years, bro. Like,
For the past 4
Turned.
years. That's right.
2016, they ran 2016, man. They were
yeah,
turned.
if you
Oh
ever
my.
fuck anything up and you just want to escape all accountability for anything you've done, just blame it on Russian bots, bro.
Russian
Works
bots.
100% of the time.
Yeah.
Shout
No,
out
it's a
Cambridge
big-
Analytica, you know?
Cambridge
no shout outs to Cambridge Analytica. On the real, but
Tech jokes, haha. You had to weave that in there.
got
eh?
'em.
I didn't give you any tech references before.
That's right.
But we checked that box off. We good.
Let's go high level. Let's go macro. Let's piggyback this and quarterback this sucker right now. We're going IPO and KPIs now next week,
fuck
brother.
We're dropping bare tech references. What up, Adobe?
Oh, shout out to Adobe real quick.
What up, what's that damn design program?
Shout out to Microsoft Paint.
Shout out to
Paint
Microsoft
as well.
right now.
AutoCAD. AutoCAD, what up?
Shout out AutoCAD.
Shout out
Shout
to
out
Architect
MATLAB,
for-
that program.
Architect for real. They build it for real.
That's right.
That's a big one. That's a big one right there.
Yeah,
Don't let that.
Shout out to the MCATs real quick. Like putting a lot of the homies through med school, becoming doctors. Shout out to the MCATs.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know about that one because you got to go
No,
to
you're
8
not.
years of schooling. 8
That's
years?
Crazy. That's crazy.
8 years, maybe 10?
Maybe 10.
For what?
And like 300K in debt. Never mind. I
Yeah.
unshout out the MCATs. I much prefer M dogs.
And I'm gonna be real with the whole doctor thing. Like, what if you're operating on a guy, right?
Yeah.
And then he has a swastika tattoo on him,
Crazy. What do you do?
which feels like a common occurrence.
Cut
right?
him
'Cause-
open in the direction of the.
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Just
like that actually.
Glorious bastards shit.
Dude,
Yeah.
imagine it's like he's getting a surgery done on his stomach, but the tattoo's on his arm. And like after the surgery, he's just like, all right, so we just want to let you know the operation was successful. Pro bono, we removed your
Moved him from the
swastika
world. We've removed this piece of shit from the world. Congratulations.
tattoo.
Why are you crying? What?
Oh my
Oh.
god, that's incredible. That's incredible.
I'm also gonna get one of my boys to come in and yad him up. Brown's rule.
Yeah.
He'll get it after that. What up, Michael Ortiz? She's a tattoo artist. Shout out to her.
The Instagram pop up right here.
Oh my god, yeah, we're gonna put that here, right with the subscribe and the little bell ding notification.
Yes, hit the bell, guys.
We haven't done
Get
that.
notified.
guys.
Subscribe
Hit the bell. Subscribe for sure. Subscribe for more of this.
after you like and comment and
And
share.
share.
Share it with all your WhatsApp groups, especially the Brown family WhatsApp group.
Those are the ones to be in.
Yes, with the 50 uncles and aunties that are not going to understand what this interview is. Just
No, my big thing about those groups is like they all throw up a meme about how they hate their wives.
Oh, shit.
They're like, what? They're like, what's better, a mouse or a ring or something like that? And their mouse bites them or something. Like, bro, we get it. You hate your wives. Maybe
Oh my god.
don't do that anymore.
there's
do
some. I must say there are some advanced misogynistic memes because the way they structure the English and the amount of dots unnecessarily used, it's above my intellect, bro.
That's a big one, actually, right there.
Yeah. That is massive. I will say though, you raised a really good. I mean, about the WhatsApp chats and the
Yeah.
family chats. I'm gonna make a hard, actually not a super hard segue, but a little bit of a segue because thinking about the forwards and thinking about all the ridiculous shit that gets forwarded through those family chats.
Yeah.
First of all, a lot of it's whack. It's got terribly deep-seated fucking like misogyny, racism, all sorts of terrible stuff in it.
Just misinformation. Just
misinformation.
Not
Oh my
real
god,
at all. Like,
that's right. This is how a man cured COVID with his fucking like dirty socks. You know,
they don't want you to know.
yeah, they don't want you to know exactly. But no, I'm bringing this up because of the thing that comes to mind when I think about all this stuff is that it's whack, that it might be considered corny, and I know the two of you have spoken particularly about the self-identification. See that segue?
That was a good one.
That's a big way. That's
It's
a big
way.
seg.
But but the motto or the kind of the ethos of Keralanka is corny as fuck, but the music bangs, which is
Mhm.
amazing. And I know the two of you have spoken on embracing this corniness. You know, you just like you accept that the humor or the energy that you may bring will be deemed corny, and that's perfectly fine because that's you. You're embracing who you are. You're embracing your identity. You're embracing all parts of yourself. And I think that's important to do in any kind of art form, especially one um, where I think oftentimes there's more criticism. And the two of you have spoken really kind of eloquently about being guests in the home of hip hop and black art, which I think is important to do at any point. And I think when Nivek and I talk about this podcast, we reflect on that often as much as we can to be like,
Yeah.
we in many ways wouldn't try and mix interviewing and comedy if Jesus and Mero wasn't a thing.
True.
And like we have to pay homage and consistently kind of take note of that fact when we do the show. But I think when it comes to kind of like embracing the corniness,
Mhm.
I wonder if any of that for the two of you is also tied to like reclaiming the struggle or the challenge of acceptance that brown people oftentimes are going to kind of experience when they create something period, but create something in the west too,
Right.
so something that I hear so often or like I think about is like when I hear someone share like an art idea and or even something they're making a beat and they're sampling like Carnatic music.
Right.
um Oftentimes I hear like, oh yeah, like this is sick, but like I want to make it less corny. I want to make this sound like yeah, I just want to make this. I think I'll leave it there. I want to
Yeah.
make it sound less corny. I don't want this to be corny. How do we not make this corny? And it's something that I don't necessarily have an answer for, and it's something that I reflect on a lot, which is like, yeah, well, what makes it corny? Who deems it corny? And more importantly, uh, like what is not making this corny like mean? And what does that potentially mean you sacrifice, or what does that potentially mean you give up on, or what does that potentially mean you play into, right?
Mhm.
um
The real answer is there is no answer. It's dynamic. It's always shifting. It's like there is no permanent definition of what it is,
yeah,
right?
Socially constructed.
It's I mean at
exactly.
the end of the day, it's like it's so context dependent. Like
Hmm.
if you put out like a track that sounds like where you blatantly sound like Party Next Door right now, someone might point the finger at you and be like, that's corny. Why is that corny? Because you don't have your own style, because you're biting something that's been around for 3 or 4 years. But if you put out that same track 5 years ago, when Party wasn't as poppin', you
Hmm.
could make the argument that's like, yo, he's making his new way. Like it's all so subjective and dependent, and I
Yep.
hate to resort to that. It's not a very hot take, obviously.
No,
Like
that's all
oh,
right.
music is subjective, but I think the same goes for like personality is subjective,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's more where I'm at. Like, you know what? Like, it's cool if you don't like certain tracks we put out. It's cool if you don't like certain music we put out. But I think also like a lot of people tend to tie identity to the music, and I don't blame them because like an album rollout with a really good aesthetic, like there's a reason you gravitate towards dark fantasy, for example. I get it. It
Hmm.
matters, but at the same time I think a lot of it is misunderstood, right? Like, I mean, and I think it's also a beautiful part of the journey when, like, when you look at like Childish Gambino said this when Mac Miller passed. He was like, yo, I connected with Mac because both of us we were the black and white rapper that were corny early in
Hmm.
their career. And I've actually been in that position where I don't like Camp that much by Childish Gambino. So I can see what people mean when they say, oh, that's corny or whatever. But then, like, him growing into, because the internet, and him growing into, like, putting out something like Redbone, right?
Mhm.
It's, like, so dope. And it's because he allowed himself the room to grow from that point where
Yeah.
it's like, all right, I put out this piece of work that, like, I don't know how he feels about it, but maybe certain people feel like I didn't vibe with that, whatever, but they grew from that. And I think that's super tight. And I think you just got to embrace who you are in that process and put it all out on the table, and like, don't censor, like, you at every single point of the journey. I think that's sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also like along with that, for myself, it's like it's challenging people's perceptions of like what is corny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of people who would say like our comedy is corny, but then I would ask them, why are you laughing? You know,
Boom. Fucking
like
think about it,
it's
dummy.
like it's great that it's corny, but hey man, like we've as like if we're putting out a comedic piece of content, we've done our job. We've made the
Yeah.
audience laugh, you know?
Yep.
And we enjoy the process and we're just being true to ourselves. So
It's
like
The Office. Shout out to The Office. Like
yeah,
they
facts.
for example, like
Big
there was
shout
like
outs to The
right
Office.
like a huge turning point in sitcom, modern American sitcom was like when they came out and they're like, we're gonna remove the laugh track. We're gonna make you feel hella uncomfortable. We're gonna
Mm-hmm.
make you think, is this funny? And then
Right.
over time you go, fuck, it is funny, and
And it
I
works.
hate myself
And
for
it
thinking it's
worked.
funny.
Every time.
You know what I mean? Like cringe comedy. It's a whole ass. I'm sure y'all know it's a whole ass subgenre, right? Shout out to cringe comedy.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all subjective, like you said, and it's like at the end of the day, when Drake first came out, for example, and he was blending singing and rapping, that was corny, and now the whole game does it, right? So it's like don't tie your own growth. I think it's more so for us. It's a reminder not to tie our own growth to immediate flinch reactions from people who are like looking to fucking generate an opinion 30 seconds after listening to something or
Right.
watching something
that
or
was a great
whatever
way
it
to put
is.
it.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Yeah.
know your own worth, like bet on yourself. Obviously, that doesn't mean like close yourself off to any feedback or anything. Of course, like
Right.
that's why you have your inner circle for. That's why you have the people around you that you trust. But also don't hold yourself back or become something you're not because you feel like people are going to react to it a certain way. And find your tribe, bro, because I guarantee you there are people out there who won't think it's cheesy or corny or whatever.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really I think it's really valuable for people to hear that because it can get the pressure to seek acceptance can get so intense that sometimes you doubt whether or not you actually like what you like or whether or not like liking something that you like is acceptable, right? Quote unquote acceptable. And that's scary. Like I'm not
But the
gonna
beautiful thing is, like,
yeah.
we like now more than ever, it's like we live in an era where it's like at the end of the day, every single one of us in this room, you guys are avid music listeners, we're musicians. I think everyone in this room can name at least 3 artists that no other person knows. Just from a standpoint of like in terms of how music discovery is now and how like
Yeah.
niche everything is and fragmented it is, like there's people you don't know, but none of us know that are like that have a huge cult fan bases and they've been able to find their tribe, and that's
right.
because it's now it's like the internet has helped the artist to some extent take it back and be like, fuck it, I don't
Yep.
need to fucking be this huge like radio mainstream accepted person. And some people might listen to my shit and be like, yo, that music is not for me. Like JPEG Mafia, for example, or some shit. Like people might listen to that shit and be like, it's too experimental, it's too out there. But then he has his people who, we've been to a show and it's like, you see like the way his fan base reacts to that shit. It doesn't even matter if like the people who don't listen to experimental rap are calling it corny because like, holy shit. Like if you look at the people he is zoning in on, it's something special.
The community is wild, you know.
Super yeah.
Again, zoning in the community. That's
How do you guys feel about the Cardi album?
I haven't heard it.
I haven't heard it either.
Really?
No.
Fair enough.
Oh, okay. It's all good. I mean,
When did it drop? When did it drop?
Was
December.
Was it December?
Yeah.
I listened
December.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
How do y'all feel about are you guys like rap heads? Like how do y'all feel about ghostwriters in hip hop?
Go ahead, Nivek. I'll let you speak on this.
No, you go first.
No, I was gonna say I don't know if I have a strong enough opinion on it. I think it's something that I kind of monitor, and I'm always just like, I wonder, But I don't think I've dove deep enough into to properly have an opinion on it. Yeah. How about you, Nivek?
Yeah, I'm very okay with it now. When I used to be an annoying hip hop head that was like, you gotta write everything, you gotta write everything. That's why I love Push. Um, Basically Ray,
Earl, yeah.
Raycon, of course. And I get that.
That just means you like cocaine.
Yeah.
That's pretty much true. Yeah, that's exactly.
Freddie
exactly-
Gibbs.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like it is a talent to be able to write in someone else's tone and their voice.
100%, bro.
Definitely.
And a lot of people do it, and I really respect that. It's a big talent. And I don't take anything away from rappers who
If
who
you
get
can
some
rap,
tips.
that's the thing. If you can rap, you can rap. It's a
Yeah.
different talent than writing. It's a different talent than personality.
Flow is the hardest thing ever.
Mm.
And I listen to certain rappers because their flow, their bars are almost terrible, but the flow is incredible. It just
Cardi's a
makes me
great
want to.
example. Cardi's a great example of bars where you're like, this is horrendous. Like there's a moment where I was practicing DJing a little bit, and I would regularly never mix in Cardi, but this one time I chose to just cause, and I had I had like all the lows turned down as I was doing this mix, so no like 808 like banging in my ear. All I hear is like a hi hat and like I'm just like hearing the ad libs and I'm hearing the lyrics and I'm like,
That's
I
funny.
knew this was bad, but it's like extra
Yo, her
bad when there's
energy is
like,
crazy though, bro. Her energy is insane. Like, just that's someone who's like transcended. Like, she's a cultural fucking icon now, which is insane, right?
Wait,
Wait. I think that's
oh shit,
Playboy Cardi.
who are you talking about?
he
Oh,
was talking about Cardi B.
Talking about Cardi B.
I love it. I love it. That's incredible. That's incredible.
segment.
Oh shit.
Mm.
International Women's Day. Don't y'all go disrespecting the queens. All right.
Well, she's the queen of rap, bro.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Classic.
Okay. Now
I haven't heard a whole lot of Red either, though. If that's what you're referring
that's
to.
totally
But
fine.
I think Mario Judah is funny as fuck. If y'all know.
Mario Judah's very funny. Yeah.
Like whatever,
Mm.
how he's
Okay,
like
the-
pressuring Cardi to like fucking drop albums, and he's pulling
So
out
jokes.
genius.
The comment about ghostwriting makes
Yeah.
full sense now because I was like, oh, I when you brought that up, I was like, oh, I'm learning something new.
There was some
I
controversy with her, and yeah, all that shit. Like, but
This,
that was ages ago. I think that was like on the last album or whatever.
for sure.
I don't have like a yeah. I also like. I don't know. It'd be nice for me to know so that when I'm ranking my rappers, I'm like taking that into context. Like these are the top 5 writers versus rappers. all
Right,
that.
right.
At the end of the day, it's like Kanye's shit. A lot of it is, and the
Yeah.
bangs it's so well. That
Super
goes so
hard.
well with his personality, and it's
Yeah.
because Kanye said it that shit's popping. So
Right. I mean, you even think about like the weight that's attached to like hip hop and rappers specifically versus like okay, like who was Frank Ocean writing songs for like the first like
right,
5 years of his career? Like all the biggest artists, right?
Right.
But not for a moment are they kind of questioned? Like, is their integrity questioned?
no,
in
it's
the
because
same way?
rap has like battle rap as like
That's
a
right.
foundation for all this shit, right?
Yeah, it's
Like
just
people
the cultural
were,
significance.
people
of
are
it, right?
battling in the parks and like with DJs before they're ever putting out records. So it's like that's part of the game is like you better write your shit. There's just that natural competitiveness which I respect. You know, like listen, if I find out someone's like being ghostwritten for battle rap, then I'm a fucking clown them because that's like some bullshit. You know what I mean?
Oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow, that's such a good.
Like you're exiled.
Yeah, you're exactly truly. That.
True.
No way.
Speaking, you were talking about flows though, and Nivek, you kind of mentioned like nailing a flow and being able to like really claim it is like very 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 difficult to do. I like that's the one thing that stands up for me on Monarchy, the track Monarchy off of Mahal, where like this is so funny. This is the first time I've ever probably said this out loud, but like when I hear someone, okay, so these are two instances that I do this, and it's weird. But when I watch like blooper reels of like shit on YouTube, so for example, like when I'm watching Office blooper reels on YouTube, I'm like I'm forcing myself not to laugh as if I'm there, as if I'm like on set and I'm like someone who's like not trying to laugh. And it strangely makes the experience like a little bit more enjoyable. It's like the only reason why I can watch those videos like over and over again. It's because I watch it and like I'm trying to hold in my laughter, like I'm being recorded and then they burst out in laughter, I burst out in laughter, whatever.
Yeah.
It's great. When I listen to someone spit bars, and in this case, in Monarchy, you're going off. I also hold my breath because I'm just like, oh, this is what it must feel like to rap this fast. And it's fucked up. It's a really weird thing that I do, but
I like that. That's a dope experiment.
it's just like, oh, let me really feel what it's like. Yeah.
Empathize.
Hey, by the way, you guys don't have to like everything. You know, you could If you hate it, just say it to his face. You know?
Sounds pretty interesting.
That was
Just,
that's pretty interesting, man. Because honestly, like as a rapper, like something I've been trying to like definitely something I'm trying to work on for 2021 is breath control, man. Because like
crazy.
that's like definitely I know like a lot of listeners don't think about that, but like when you hear a rapper that has really good breath control, you realize that's like the 1% shit where it's like if you conquer that, I feel like you can move into the upper tier of like rappers, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Like the best example like that really made me more aware of breath control generally when I'm spitting, which is very important for flow, right? Is like having the right breath control. It's Black Thoughts 10-minute funk flex freestyle. I don't know if y'all seen that.
Yeah,
But like
incredible.
I've watched that shit so many times that I've started to memorize where he takes breaths. And
Wow.
that shit is crazy to me because like this man is spitting for 10 minutes straight and he's doing intricate flows and he's not really giving himself that much of a break between the words. You gotta like really study like what is this guy in his 40s who is like a true fucking veteran, right? Because we don't value that shit in hip hop, but I try to give like, you know, the older rappers their flowers because it's like, dog, you know this shit as muscle memory compared to like a lot of us younger rappers, right? And so it's like hearing him where he takes his breaths in certain pockets is like super dope. Like I definitely something I'm trying to get better at. But yeah.
Thank you for talking about what I was trying to say in such a cooler way rather than me being like, yo, dude, sometimes I'm just driving and I black out because I'm fucking holding my breath while you're rapping, dude. Fuck me.
I'm holding my breath right now.
But you know, it's just like yeah, I'm really just trying to experience it with you. But no, that's absolutely right. And and yeah, I think what you mentioned about breath control is overlooked, and oftentimes why like um there are like there are musicians who don't sound the same live when they perform, because doing that live while jumping up and down while like like monitoring a crowd is
That's why you need a hype man to finish the words off.
that's right. That's right.
Me. Little hack.
Yeah.
Little hack for you rappers out there.
Pro tip.
Make some friends. Only
That's right.
fucks.
That's big.
Surprise, hype men aren't just there for hype. They're there to finish your fucking sentences.
Hype man for hire.
Yeah.
This is where you put the flashing text in.
Yeah. We'll send you the email.
But on the flip side too, Monarchy was the one track that I was able to kind of sit in on the Twitch stream and kind of see how you're putting together that kind of infancy of like getting the sample and like figuring out how to kind of chop it. I'm curious to know if because I think like, you know, I don't want to ask the same question of like, you know, what's your process? Because yeah, I'm sure you've answered that question a bunch of times, but I guess a question for you, particularly given that, you know, you two have really embraced the fact that, you know, this is still a very early part of your kind of careers. How dead set do you feel in like the way that you approach beat making or that you approach even just like your process? Because I know even early on, like you two started by you took like Ron, you rapped over an Eminem track, and then instead of you stripped the audio, just took the bars and then built a beat around that, which is very unorthodox. I'm curious to know if really reaching for these kind of unorthodox producing patterns and methods is something that you embrace, or if it's something that, you know, it takes some time to kind of work your way into, because like building your process is like it takes a very long time to feel comfortable with it, right? So kind of disrupting that, I can imagine, is challenging, but I'm curious to know what that's like for you.
Yeah, again, like I think one word that really describes this, like whether it's marketing or the music, is experimental, right? Like I think for us, like it's fun to like develop a process, but it's also really fun to like not get. I feel like once you have a process and you get too comfortable in it, that's when you start hitting like these creative ruts.
Stagnation.
You know? And yeah, exactly. You start stagnating, and it's like constantly just trying to challenge like what we do when we get in the studio is like definitely an important part of it. And like that's not to say the process isn't, like that it's important to have the things you know you can go to, but then at the same time you shouldn't get like too comfortable just being there, you know?
100%.
Like you do need that element of just like, yo, I heard this cool sound the other day,
Fuck
let's
shit
try to
up.
make it.
Yeah.
Or yo, I
Yeah.
watched this YouTube video the other day of this producer doing this and we've never done that. Why don't we try it out?
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like where the fun is for me.
Yeah, I feel like I've never really vocalized it this way, but like take it as what you will. I don't think we have a process. Like we do, but we have so many processes that I don't think we have like a singular go-to process. Like
Amazing.
it's so dependent. Like
It's very dynamic.
and that's I really enjoy that because like Monarchy, the one you said, like we're talking about the intro off the EP, you would have seen that that was like, here's the sample, let's build like the loops that we want. Then I was writing in the background, figuring out the hook based off being inspired by the sample chops. And then we added to the beat after and stuff. Whereas Jungle Escape at the end was like, he literally gave me like, the way we made that was like, he literally gave me like whatever, like 50 bars of like just a hi-hat loop. That's it. Literally just a hi-hat loop. And I was like, let me just get these bars off. Got the bars off. Then we built the beat around, you know, those bars.
Crazy.
So it's like, it goes both ways. It's like, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. And I don't know, I think it's just kind of fun to roll the dice on like how you create your next track.
Yeah. And another one more thing I want to add like on that point is
No.
no, well, too bad, man. I'm adding anyways. But one more thing I want to add is like part of it is also knowing that like when you box yourself into a process and you tell yourself like, hey, this is how I do it, it's not the most efficient way to like create music. The most like efficient and fun way to create music is to literally just follow the path that like I heard this sound like Rohan said, right? Like different tracks in that EP were created differently, and like we wouldn't have been able to create that EP in 24 hours, I don't think, if we stuck to like a one process. Or like we could have made an EP in 24 hours, don't get me wrong, but like
I don't think it would be as dynamic.
it would be very systematic. Like the tracks would probably sound a lot more similar, and like it would just lose the fun of it. So
No,
big thing.
that's a great point. And yeah, I think it also kind of adds to the very, very impressive nature of completing an EP in 24 hours.
Yeah, it's like similar. You know, we have that beat battle, those beat battle streams called Corn Hub. It's not what y'all think it is, but Corn Hub where we beat it up in front of you.
Right.
Oh,
Beat up.
yes.
Got him.
We're making beats.
Love it.
But it's like a beat battle thing, and that actually, like,
Love it.
on the point of like me saying earlier, like whatever we do, like content wise and all that shit, is just shit that we already do, but like publicize. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, we used to do this thing where it's like whenever we were like, we went to LA and we made this thing called the beat game that we were just calling the beat game at the time, which we were like, hey, we want to make like just 3 beats in like an hour, and we want to like, you know, completely fuck up our creative process. So what we did is I said, hey man, you write 3 rules down, I write 3 rules down,
Right.
and we'll put them all into a hat, and then we'll just like we'll draw 3 rules, random rules. It could be like no drums or like reverse this sample or whatever it is, and we have to stick to those 3 rules and make a beat in 15 minutes. And like that's sort of where that started. We would just do it for fun. Like with ourselves, and it came up with some really cool creative results. Forces you to make some decisions, and on the other hand, we also like taking our time with art.
Oh,
Some shit. So
They're coming up in 3 years now.
yeah.
yeah, man. It's also quite. Yeah, I appreciate the approach of allowing for it to kind of like have ebbs and flows of like really putting yourself in the pressure cooker, and also taking your foot off the gas, right, and allowing yourself to contextualize and and think about it that way.
Especially the brown pressure cookers that make like the like, you know, the whistly kind of
Shout out
sound.
the Instant Pot. Shout out the Instant Pot.
Shout outs.
Well, you know, I think you touched on a lot, particularly in terms of creativity, in terms of the kind of challenges of being authentic to yourself, in an age and kind of in a time where there's a lot of pressure to do otherwise. And you also kind of spoke on what that's been like for you in the past year, which we really appreciate you sharing with us. I think something that I've been thinking about for myself very recently is how I spent a lot of 2020 almost being like afraid to be inspired. I know that sounds a bit strange, and I think there was a lot that inspired me, but ultimately just like feeling a bit overwhelmed by everything that was kind of happening around me. I very much leaned into I leaned into the things that I knew. I leaned into listening to all the albums that I knew I loved already. I for the first time probably ever in my life, I was rewatching movies where like I've had this hard rule where I was like, no, I don't watch.
Damn, I did that too. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's like a subconscious thing for comfort or
yeah,
something.
I feel like it's like that sense of familiarity just
That's
brings
wild.
brings comfort when in an unfamiliar world, right? It's like you need that sense of comfort.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
precisely what I think it is. And very similarly to you, AP, I feel like it's only been the past couple months where I was like, no, there's still a lot for me to be kind of like inspired by, and
Yeah.
maybe it's because we've now nearly done 365 days of living life like this, that I'm now at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to kind of take this on.
Yeah.
In many ways, it's why Vivek and I took a break from doing the podcast for a year, because we're like, like we did this podcast in person, and it was so
Right.
much more fun when we could do it in person and travel around the GTA, but travel to do these shows. And doing it on Zoom is not going to feel the same, and we'll just wait it out, because thinking about transitioning is going to be difficult. But
Yeah, honestly, if this was in studio, we'd be freestyling for hours, bro.
We'd be going
It'd be a
crazy.
freestyle-a-thon.
You got to manifest that. We're coming back on,
Different
all right?
energy, man, for
Oh,
sure.
sick. It's gonna happen. I have a few friends who like to freestyle as well. Everybody get together, freestyle,
Let's go.
you know, I
over
feel
knowledge beats.
I feel like, man, over AP beats is what we
Oh,
need.
shit.
Is what we need.
It's true.
But
That's knowledge, though. God damn.
shout outs knowledge
He's
for sure.
crazy.
But I guess I say all this to say thank you for joining us. Thank you for contributing to the inspiration that I now kind of find myself feeding into. It's been really, really it's been comforting in many ways to sit and think about how two people who are very much embracing their corniness, which as we talked about, can be whatever it means, but I think to the two of you it means being you. And also just creating some really, really incredible art all around, whether it's the skits, whether it's the music, whether it's the artwork.
How about this? We thank you.
What? No.
We actually cut
You
that.
didn't see that one coming.
We actually cut that part out of all our interviews. We just no, I'm kidding. But
No, for real, man. It's dope. It's dope seeing you guys like get back and do your thing, and we're honored to be one of the first guys to bring it back in. And at the end of the day, the fact that y'all are continuing to execute this vision, even if it's like exhausting at times or whatever, like keep doing it, because the people need it, man. What y'all are doing, and the people you're putting on your podcast, that you're lending your platform to, it means a lot more than you would think to the artists you guys are inviting on. So shout out to y'all.
I hope so. They're
So some artists be like,
fuck these guys.
they'd be like looking at their phones, waiting for their text to come in. They're waiting on text. No text?
Smoking a
All right, what's the
blunt.
next question?
On the other hand,
That's why I had to give you that like disclaimer at the beginning. Is it okay if I do this? Because I don't want y'all to think like I'm not paying attention.
no. Of
Nah,
course.
it's never
please,
that.
Please do your
It's
thing.
just your voices sound funny. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. My blood pressure is just rising talking to you. I just have to, calm myself down. But as you'll find all of your favorite artists, go check out Keralanka everywhere. Spotify, Apple Music, fucking Napster. Go hit them up. Go listen to these guys.
Deezer.
What?
Deezer?
A Deezer. What can Nivek, myself, all your fans, all the people who are listening to this episode and becoming new fans, what can they look forward to, say, in the next couple months from the two of you?
For sure. Well, depending on when this comes out, we're gonna be dropping like 5 singles between like March and April. Yep. So watch out for that. And we're coming heavy this year with the speed, like we mentioned. We're gonna be dropping a lot, and be on the lookout always for just big experiences and events like the 24-hour EP. We might have something cooking up crazy that I'm not gonna put any detail into yet, like out into the world yet. But if y'all thought with the 24-hour EP was crazy,
just wait.
It's about to get wild, boys. It's about to get wild. So can't wait for that. Very ambiguous promo right there.
Spoiler: the boys are going on a 6-day peyote trip.
That's right. And we'll be vlogging the whole thing. We're now YouTubers. I'm now accepting clickbait title submissions to my email, so send them over. You won't believe the response you'll get.
I know I have the perfect title for your video. It's just gonna be a photo of your face like this, with wide-eyed, with like spirals around your eyes, and the title is gonna be in all caps. I just took a pill in Ibiza. ...
Wow.
Actually.
Oh my god.
The actually is absolutely necessary.
Yeah,
Otherwise, it's not gonna hit.
Exactly. People aren't gonna know that you got stoned.
That I
So.
actually did it.
Yeah, let me know how much I owe you after this call.
Yeah. No worries. I'll just
Call.
take all of the
Big one.
the Squarespace and the what else we got on there? The masterclass ads, that you'll eventually get in your episode.
There we go. All the
Gucci, what up?
Yeah, exactly.
we talked half the episode about signing bad deals, and I'm about to sign the worst deal of all time.
That's right.
Hey, wait, hold on. I gotta end this off.
Please.
I'm breaking some news right now. I'm starting my own label.
Oh,
Nothing
wow.
to Lose Records.
Nothing to lose. I like that.
I'm gonna give you an offer right now.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
5K advance.
Wow.
I get all of your pub. You guys are happy with it.
I don't own any bars though. I have bars, but I don't own any English United Kingdom based bars. So I don't know how you're gonna take my pub.
Well, you put it out and I get the money. That's that works,
I need to start a bar, like an alcoholic serving.
Like a pub, mate. Like a
He's
pub.
talking about pub. I'm talking about bars. Like, I get what you're saying.
Do you see that? Do you see that?
UK
depth?
bars, right?
Do you see the
This guy's
depth?
rapping. This guy's rapping. I didn't even know he's rapping. Jeez. Yo,
Just finessed you out of your own
I
deal.
accept. Send the DocuSign through. We out here. Let's go.
Salute.
Nothing to lose records, baby. 2021 to
go.
fucking infinity. That's right.
I'm sending you the chain in the mail.
This interview
you.
is not legally binding by any means.
I know he's.
Now, once you get the chain, it's official.
It's official.
What's that wedding chain? I'm sending you that.
No, he's sending.
What they
these-
call that?
all
The dolly? Yo, sending you each a
The
dolly, bro.
That's fucking genius. That's
He's
genius,
sending a
though.
dolly at
Hey,
the
yeah.
end.
That is the brown Rockefeller chain. Bro. That's for real.
That's a
The,
skit.
the first meal that you buy on the label has to be with like a green leaf below it.
Damn,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
that's a skit right there.
And there we go. As long as you put on for the culture, you can completely screw over
You
artists.
can exploit us.
You can exploit us. Woke.
That's true.
Oh
great.
my gosh.
Well,
On that note,
Glad we got there.
yeah, I'm glad we got there. But truly, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being on episode 83 of High Top Flip Flops with us. And as you said, in a couple years' time, when you guys are in outer space, because we know you like to travel between here and Mars periodically. We hope we can do this again and maybe reflect on what the future holds for the two of you, because it's
Would
extremely
love to,
bright.
man. Do that.
Like a
but-
journal entry for the world.
like a
Yeah.
journal entry for the world,
Wow.
precisely. But
Yes.
thanks very much for joining us.
Sure.
100%.
You can listen to us wherever you listen to your episodes. I was gonna say some shit about saying something in the comments, but I don't know. Navik and I don't know how to play the game. The kids who just never were good at the sports, so they just watch to the side. That's us, and that's okay.
Rate
We're okay.
AP on a scale of 1 to 10 in the comments. Thank you.
Ooh, okay, rate.
Read his looks, yeah.
Brutally honest.
That's right. We just got our clickbait.
He has a big badonkadonk.
Oh,
Y'all
no.
can't see it
Oh,
right
no.
now.
We're not
but-
bringing this from the Twitch stream to
That's right.
Yeah, and send them DMs. Like, you know what? Stop being a coward. Send
What?
somebody a DM of whatever you want to say. They'll
That's right, that's right.
appreciate it, I'm sure.
Yeah, go
Never-
DM Keralanka.
You need to give the energy that you're expecting to receive back. So roll the dice.
Roll the dice. Exactly. Wow, so many quotables in this episode. Nothing to lose. Roll the dice. But for real, thanks very much for joining us. Let's all say
Appreciate y'all,
bye
man.
on
Thank you for
3. 1, 2, 3. Bye.
Tell me I love myself, get it all from everybody else. Move like fucking stuff, cause I cannot trust you well. Watch your money melt, it don't mean a damn thing. Got these fucking thoughts hanging on the
Thinking
daily.
back to days where the boy was paid before we took the all or nothing path.